Okay, everybody, we're going to get moving here on our next one. This is Molly Galbraith. She's the co-founder of Girls Gone Strong, a website dedicated to providing women with the best health and lifestyle information, as well as co-founder of J&M Strength and Conditioning, the premier facility in the U.S. for training women. Her mission is to help women discover what their best body looks and feels, and to help them have grace and compassion for themselves. Let's give her a big round of applause.
Hi guys, thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful. There are so many wonderful things that you guys could be watching or participating in right now. So the fact that you chose to came to mind means a lot to me. As she said, the topic is body acceptance, why it's important and how to get there. So we'll get started. She kind of read my mission, but my mission is I want to help women discover what their best body looks and feels like without having to kill themselves to get there. So that's a really key part of it. And once they discover that, I want to help them have grace and compassion about it. So because this is a really short talk, I'm going to not delve too much into my personal story. And before I do get into my personal story, I'd like for you guys, if you have a minute or if you have a pen or something to write with, to do a really quick body image evaluation with me. So many women, I just ran a 28-day Love Your Body challenge, and you'll hear about that at the end. But so many people think, well, I don't have body image issues. I feel pretty good about myself most of the time. And with the 28-day challenge that I just put on, I had women or men at the beginning of the challenge to go through this evaluation with me and then to do it again at the end of 28 days. Because people talk a lot about body image and acceptance and embracement and loving yourself, but like if you don't have a numerical value or a way to quantifiably measure how you're getting better, then sometimes it can feel like you're not getting better, like there's no point in doing the things that you're doing. So this evaluation really quickly, how do you feel when you think about how your body looks? Do you feel terrible? That would be a 1. Do you feel awesome? That would be a 10. How often do you think about things you'd like to change on your body? Constantly? All the way to never. How often do you look in the mirror and think, I look really awesome? Never. Always. How confident do you feel when you're in a swimsuit? How confident do you feel about your body during intimate moments? That's really important. How often do you catch yourself saying or thinking negative things about yourself? How often do you catch yourself saying negative things about your body to other people? How well do you receive compliments? How many women in here are guilty of deflecting compliments when they get one from someone? Yeah, raise your hand. I do it all the time. How often do you have feelings of shame in regards to your body? And if I told you that you could drastically change your perception of your body in 28 days, would you believe me? So that's kind of the body image evaluation. That's what I use. I launched this on March 3rd. It went through March 31st. And when it was over, I had women kind of give me testimonials or ideas about how their image changed of themselves over the 28 days. People had scores of like 27 that went to 70. I mean, it was absolutely amazing how much it changed. But it was so sad when they were contacting me at the beginning. Oh my gosh, my score's a 30. I probably really need this. So I thought this was really important to kind of help people step back and see quantifiably how they're feeling about themselves. So a little bit about why we have issues. Real women campaigns. So strong is the new skinny, right? Real women have muscles. Skinny girls are for wimps. Real women have curves. A woman without curves is like jeans without pockets. You don't know where to put your hands. Real women have curves and not rolls. So these have been really prevalent on the internet. I mean, obviously, if you're here, if you're in the paleo movement, you're probably on the internet a lot. You're probably on forums or follow people who are trying to put out inspiring things for women. And because being skinny has been trendy for so long, now people are anti-skinny, right? We're anti-skinny. We're talking about being curvy. We're talking about being muscular. But why in the world are we telling women what makes a real woman, what they should look like? This is one of the biggest problems. We went from saying that skinny is how we should look to curvy is how we should look. So now the skinny women are feeling like they're not real women. I always find it really important. Like, we would never say things to, like, I have a niece, for example, who's almost 5. I would never look at her and tell her that she wasn't a real little girl because she didn't have this or she didn't have that. At what age does it become acceptable to start saying these things to ourselves and putting these labels on ourselves? So body image and acceptance. One thing that I say a lot is you can still love your body as it is right now while wanting it to look or perform differently than it does. A lot of people think that their body has to be perfect, or if there's anything they want to change, that they're not in that place of body acceptance or love, and that's not true. It's like not loving yourself because you want to grow in your career, or because you want to be a better person, or because you want to do more with your life. You can't say, I'll love my body when, right? You can't put a date on it. You can't put a time or a weight that you've lifted or, a size of clothing that you wear. You can love it right now while wanting it to look or perform differently. So I said, it's no wonder we all have body image issues, right? We're bombarded with all of these, magazine covers, and again, strong is the new skinny, and you have to be fit, you have to be lean, you have to be curvy, you have to be this, you have to be that. The majority of our body image issues stem from external sources. So I have a really interesting kind of, my niece I was talking about, who's 5, lives in New Zealand. And I was a nanny. I don't have any children, but I was a nanny for 4 years. And I used to nanny for a family with 2 young girls, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old when I got started with them. And I remember the 4-year-old coming home from the pool one day asking me if she looked fat. Because at the pool, some of her peers who were 4 and 5 had told her that she was fat. And I've seen those issues a lot with my friends' children, and then I look at my niece who was raised in New Zealand, and my sister and her wife don't allow any kind of media in the house. There's no TV, they don't watch movies, there's no magazines, they don't speak of being fat. My sister is actually quite a bit overweight, and my niece, when my sister will be changing clothes, my niece will go up and jiggle her stomach and say, I love your fat, Mama, it's so squishy. Because she doesn't have a negative connotation with what my sister's body looks like. She talks about being strong. She talks about being healthy. When they talk about a food that she eats, she says, I eat this because it makes me feel good. If you ask her how you get strong, she says squats, steak, sleep, and vegetables. I'm like, oh my gosh, you need to be doing seminars because, like, seriously, you have it figured out. Squats, steak, sleep, and vegetables. But at 4 years old, almost 5 years old, she hasn't been exposed to these kinds of things. And obviously, it's not possible to completely pull these out of our environment, especially if you live in America. Things are a little different in New Zealand. But she doesn't know any different. She doesn't know that a roll on my sister's stomach makes her not good enough or makes her not pretty, right? She loves her and thinks she's beautiful because she hasn't been bombarded with these images of what we should look like. If you try to keep up with society's definition of beauty, you will drive yourself crazy and you will likely fail. Okay, in the 90s, everybody was excited about breast implants, right? In the 2000s, it was washboard abs with Britney Spears. The mid-2000s to now, it's butts, it's J-Lo and Beyonce. And like literally body parts become trendy. They become trendy. I'm not that mad about the butt becoming trendy because every woman can have a nicer butt, right? Every woman can lift and build muscle, and a nice, strong butt is good to keep you healthy and strong, and it's a positive goal because it's about building and getting stronger, but not everyone can have abs. Not everyone can have large breasts, right? And so if you try to keep up with society's definition of beauty, which is always changing, you will fail. You have to recognize what a realistic size and body shape is for you. Okay, I come from a family of very tall people. I'm the second shortest girl in my family. For 5 years, I thought it would be great to be a gymnast, right? Okay, that did not work out very well. I'll go ahead and spoiler alert, that did not work out well for me. You have to recognize what's a realistic body size and shape for you. I'm never going to be a size 2, ever. And I know that, and I accept that. I'm never going to be petite. I have what I was given, and I have to make the best of it. Focus on what you love about your body, and if there's something that you want to change, that's okay. As I said, you can love your body right now as it is while wanting it to look or perform differently, and I'm going to give you kind of 6 steps for how to do that. Really quickly, some personal struggles. In 2004, I was a gymnast for about 5 years. I was a cheerleader, got to college, got very sedentary and overweight. And that picture on the end in 2004, I was 185 pounds, was carrying a decent amount of extra body fat because I'm tall. I can kind of carry it a little bit differently. Got into working out. I knew I wanted to get fit and in shape. I didn't know what that meant, but it sounded really good. I ended up competing in figure 3 times, 2006, 7, and 8. And then 2013, this is about a year ago. So I went from kind of the extreme of carrying some extra body fat to competing in figure and being obsessed with being really lean. And then you have this. So 2012, I lost my dad unexpectedly to pneumonia, believe it or not. Who dies of pneumonia, right? So I lost him unexpectedly to pneumonia. About 9 months later, I got out of a 6-year relationship with the man that I was supposed to marry, and this is what happened. And of course, most people don't look at that and think that anything happened or that it looks bad, but as a fitness professional in the industry, I have a certain look that I'm supposed to maintain. I had people contacting me, asking me why I didn't look lean, what had happened to my body had I stopped working out. People were absolutely crucifying me for looking like this at a time in my life when I had just really been to hell and back. And then this is a more current picture, but the funny thing that I'd like to point out, I'm 185 pounds in this picture on the end. I'm around 152 in these. I'm 183 and a half pounds here. There's a pound and a half difference between this picture and that picture. And then I'm about 163 here. So look how drastic the difference is when I replaced around 20 pounds of fat with 20 pounds of muscle, and how subtle the difference is when I just lost another 20 pounds. Right? So I find that really, really fascinating. But so I've been through a journey. You know, I've done the figure competitions. I've binged after I got done restricting. I've been obsessed with food. I've been obsessed with food for a long time. So I've been all over the spectrum, and it is so painful when you're in this industry for people to reach out, and because you put yourself out there for people to comment on your body and comment on what you're doing and what you're eating and how you look. And part of this kind of weight loss here has been somewhat stress related. And it's hard because people are like, you look so good. And I'm like, thanks, I'm not eating because I can hardly like see straight, right? Like because I'm so stressed out with what I might have going on in work or whatever. But people always assume that because I'm here that that I did that on purpose, that there was something wrong with where I was there and that I really wanted to get here. And so that's really hard. So I kind of like to show this to people to let people know. They're like, oh, well, you're fit and lean, you're thin, you're whatever, you're in shape. I haven't always been there, and I've been all over the spectrum even recently. So step number 1 for body acceptance and how to get there, embrace your uniqueness. So I love the Dr. Seuss quote, today you are you, that is truer than true. There is no one alive that is youer than you. Again, you have to recognize your individual makeup. I was born with this body, and all I can do is the best that I can with what I was given. We can spend all the time we want coveting what someone else looks like, coveting their height, coveting their legs, coveting their hair. Okay, we were born with what we were born with, and we have to be really honest with ourselves about what that looks like, and then be honest about our priorities. There was a woman at my gym recently who was a college soccer player, a D1 athlete, in really good shape, lean and fit, and she was like, well, I have this cellulite back here, and I just, I want to do, I want that to go away, and can you help? And I had her send me her diet, and her diet looked really good. There was a little bit of wine in there, there was a little bit of dark chocolate in there, and I said, are you willing to pull these things out? Because there's not really anywhere else for you to go other than to pull out these occasional little things that bring you a lot of joy. Is this enough of a priority for you to pull that stuff out? And she said, no. And I said, okay, well, there's your answer. I always talk about you have to find a place where your health, your performance, your aesthetics, and your lifestyle intersect. What does that look like for you? Your health, your performance, your lifestyle, and your aesthetics. And you might not have exactly what you want of any of those, but can you find the balance where those intersect? And there's going to be times when you need to skew one way or the other. Okay, when I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's and adrenal dysfunction and PCOS 5 years ago, I had to focus on my health. I couldn't worry about what my aesthetics looked like. I couldn't worry about anything but my health. When I went to Italy with my family 2 years ago, I was going to focus on lifestyle, right? Of course, I avoid gluten all the time, but I was eating gelato several times a day, and I was, enjoying myself. There are times in your life where you might have to shift your priorities, and you have to be honest with yourself about what those are and get to a place where you can accept that intersection. So find your own sweet spot. That's what I just talked about, the action step. Find at least one thing that you love about your body that's unique to you, and make sure you think about it every single day. One of my friends is a geneticist, and she said, we all hit the genetic lottery in something. Maybe you have gorgeous skin. Maybe you have this hair. Maybe you're super, super smart. Maybe everybody's got something that they have that's better than about 99.9% of the population. What is that about yourself? Where did you hit the genetic lottery? And be really grateful for that and focus on that, because you can't change what you were born with. Number 2. See food as fuel and nourishment, but enjoy it as well. So it's ingrained in us to enjoy and be comforted by food. A lot of people say that we shouldn't be comforted by food. Well, our first experience with food for most of us was nursing our mother nursing us. That is a comforting, enjoyable, wonderful experience, and that's our first experience with food. There's nothing wrong with enjoying it and being comforted by it. There's something wrong with trying to fill a void or trying to fix something with food, trying to run away from your problems, trying to turn to ice cream because it doesn't judge you and it's not mean to you, right? It's fine to enjoy food. It's not fine to fill a void with food. If your main goal is to look good and feel good, find your sweet spot, again, when it comes to enjoying food. And if you have other priorities, then you might have to make temporary sacrifices. Same thing I talked about when you're balancing the health, the lifestyle, the aesthetics, and the performance. The action step. I always tell people with my clients that figure out your must-have and eat it or drink it regularly. What is that for you? Because you can be perfect for a very short period of time, or you can do a really good job and find something that's sustainable forever. I did the figure competition diet, and I remember after like almost 9 months of eating eggs and oatmeal for breakfast and chicken and broccoli twice a day for lunch, I literally vomited my food. I vomited my broccoli and my chicken because I just couldn't stand it. It wasn't sustainable for me. I had been perfect for X number of months, but it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't something I could do forever. You have to have that little bit of relief or whatever in your nutrition plan so that you don't feel restricted. So find your must-have, eat it and drink it regularly. Make sure at least one meal every day is eaten slowly and savored. I'm as guilty of this as anybody else. We're all on the go. We're running around. We're stuffing our face while we're on a conference call or whatever. Take time to sit down. Eat food that you really like. I mean, how many cookbooks are here with all kinds of delicious recipes of foods that are wonderful for your body? Make sure that you're eating things that you actually enjoy and eat slowly and savor what you're eating. Health, performance, and aesthetic goals are all valid. So it's really popular right now to only talk about performance goals or only talk about health goals, and for people to feel badly or feel vain if they have an aesthetic goal, if they want to lose some body fat or they want their body to look a certain way. Their aesthetic goals are valid as well. Like, a lot of us got into working out in the first place because we wanted to feel more confident and we wanted to look better, and that's fine. It just can't be your only focus. Again, there are seasons for everything. There are going to be times where you can put more time and effort into what you're eating and what you're doing with your body, and times when you can't. Regularly updating and changing your training goals prevents boredom, ensures progress, and keeps you well-rounded and healthy. So I mentioned briefly that when 5 years ago when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, PCOS, and adrenal dysfunction, I was looking in the mirror. I did not recognize my body. Whose body is this? I don't know this body. And so I actually decided to do a powerlifting competition, because if I was spending this time focusing on the way that I looked, I would have driven myself crazy. So I had to focus on my performance for a while. So maybe for, X amount of time you're focusing on fat loss, and then you switch to, wanting to do more pull-ups, and then you switch to wanting to have more energy. Regularly changing your training goals, like I said, prevents boredom, ensures progress, and keeps you well-rounded and healthy. Action step, choose one short-term and one long-term goal and design a plan to help you get there. So choose something that you want to accomplish 3 months from now, and choose something you want to accomplish 12 months from now, and design a plan to help you get there. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to go a little more quickly. So find positive measures of progress. Progress is important. It's motivation, helps you feel good about your accomplishments. This slide didn't look so hot. So what about the scale? Everybody says to throw out the scale. My kind of litmus test for that is, does it make you crazy? Then don't use it. If it doesn't make you crazy, it is information about what's going on in your body. But if you know that you become obsessed, if you know you obsess about the number, then it's absolutely not something that you should use. There are plenty of other ways you can measure your progress. If it doesn't make you crazy and you want to use it occasionally, then I don't have a problem with that. Other ways to measure progress. If you're measuring aesthetics, measurements, calipers, pictures, clothing, all of those are really, really good. Performance, maybe your lifts in the gym, maybe your endurance or stamina or real life improvements. Those are my favorite. When a client comes, they're like, well, I couldn't pick up my 70-pound St. Bernard, a couple weeks ago, and now I can, and it was so easy. Or my favorite is being able to change the water jug at work. Like, so many women, they're like, I couldn't change it, 3 months ago, and now I did it with no problem. And a guy asked me if I needed help, and I got to say no, right? So the real life improvements for your performance, health, energy level, blood pressure, sleep quality, digestive issues, measure if these things are getting better. Attitude. Okay, so when I wrote this, it was going to be a 30-day Love Your Body Challenge. It ended up being a 28-day, but the Love Your Body Challenge, positive self-talk, developing a mantra. Within the 28-day challenge, I give you a mantra every single day that you're supposed to repeat to yourself. Some of the days, if you do the challenge, are going to resonate with you, and some of them won't. And that's fine. When you find the mantra that resonates with you, stick with that. Say it to yourself. The last panel I was on, we were talking about eating disorders and body image. They said, how do you start to have a better body image? You fake it until you make it. You tell yourself that you love your body. You tell yourself that you're beautiful from the inside out until you can't help but believe it. You kick out the bad thoughts and you fill your brain with positive thoughts until there's no room for the negative. So action step, figure out a way to measure your progress that aligns with your current goals, and if it makes you a crazy person, then stop. Some people really can't spend that time measuring their progress. Number 5, don't listen to critics. Be nice or leave. If they're talking about you, if someone's talking about you, it's because they dislike themselves, and I can guarantee you people think about you a lot less than you think they do, okay? Everyone's relatively self-involved, and I can promise you people aren't thinking about you nearly as much as you think they might be. So what do you do about the worst talker of all? That's you. We talk so negatively to ourselves all the time. Action step, develop a positive mantra to say to yourself every time negative thoughts enter your mind. And number 6, train because you love your body. So this is something we say at Girls Gone Strong, train because you love your body, not because you hate your body. There are so many wonderful reasons to train. Why are you going to train because you looked in the mirror and you hated the way your butt looked? Or you grab your stomach and think it's disgusting? That's a really negative thing to fuel your training with. So learning to train because you love your body and finding your why. Is your why because you want to be healthy for your children? Is your why because you were in a really bad accident and, broke some part of your body that you weren't able to use and now you're grateful for movement? Find your why and make that your powerful reason to train. My friend Nagar Fanuni says, movement is a privilege. Do it every day as often as you can. So many of us think about going to the gym as a chore. And then I watched my grandmother who had a stroke and she can't even move the left side of her body. Movement is a privilege. Do it every day as often as you can. Each week or month, write down 1 to 3 positive reasons you're excited about training. And I keep talking about the 28-day Love Your Body Challenge. It went from March 3rd to March 31st. So it ended, but it's a self-guided thing. You can do it yourself if you go to mollygalbraith.com. You can take yourself through it. Each day should take 10 minutes or less to read the blog post, to see the mantra, to do the action step. And again, like I said, so many women were telling me that their score kind of went from a 27 to a 70 or a 30 to a 60. So they could see measurable means of progress after doing the challenge. And one thing I didn't say at the beginning of the challenge was you don't have to do it perfectly. Okay, just because you miss a day doesn't mean you can't get back on and do it again. Just because you don't have time to do the action step one day doesn't mean it's not valuable to read the post. So it's not about doing it perfectly. It's about starting to do it at all. So again, mollygalbraith.com, 28-day Love Your Body Challenge. And this is how I kicked off the post. This was that post I was talking about with the fitness professionals kind of sharing the pictures they wouldn't necessarily want to put out there because we get so kind of crucified for being imperfect. So just wanted to share that with you guys. And I guess it's time for questions.